Good afternoon. Welcome to episode 29 of the Hockey Variety Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry I've been away for a little bit longer than I thought. I think it's been 8 days since I put up the last episode. I just keep making up excuses for myself. I'll like wait a day and then I'll see okay, what are the results of these games and can I talk about that on the podcast and this and that. So I've kind of just been putting things off. I wanted to do the podcast right after the Leafs game 5 if they won, and then they didn't win, and that's kind of the talk of the town right now. It's Leafs, Leafs, Leafs. But there's some other storylines in the NHL right now that I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be taking a look at the playoff picture. Going to talk a little tiny bit about the draft lottery, as I usually do. That seems to be a weekly thing on this podcast, but the draft lottery talk will be coming to an end pretty soon. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about superstitions in hockey and how I feel about some of that. And we're going to look at probably some of the weirder ones that we've seen over time here. Nothing too much going on in my life. I'm actually committing to doing a marathon this summer. I'm training for a marathon. I'm making that public knowledge now. So I have to stick to it. But no, I've already registered for it and everything. It's in August, so I've got time to prepare. I've been preparing for a few weeks already, so just going to stick to it. A little excited for that. I'm kind of nervous for that, but you know what? I'm going to be a little bit overly prepared, and that way I know I'll feel good for when the marathon comes around. Did a little fun tournament last weekend. That was great. It was a draft tournament, and I mentioned last episode that it doesn't matter if you finish first or last. Those tournaments are always a good time, and it was. We finished 7th out of 8, the team I was on. I was actually on a team with one of my buddies from my regular team, so that was cool. We were line mates pretty much the whole tournament, so that was fun. I didn't really score any goals or do anything remarkable, but we finished 7th. We didn't win a single game that first day. We had 3 games. We lost all 3. I couldn't even make the last one because of just travel and whatnot. We were 0-3 after the first day, and then we won our morning game the Sunday, and then by then we already had qualified for the last place game because the tournament's set up so pretty much every team is guaranteed 5 games. So you do a 4-game round robin, and then you get placed in either the first place game, the third place game, the 5th place game, or the 7th place game. And we ended up winning the 7th place game. So, it's kind of cool having a bit of success there, but overall, it was a fun weekend. I didn't really care too much about where we placed because it's all about the regular season in rec hockey. It's not about these fun tournaments. But I got a pretty sweet jersey out of it too. They do some fairly professional photography of games throughout the tournament. They always turn out really great. These tournaments are always a blast. I love doing them. I plan on doing one in the fall again as well. So that was a good time. So let's take a look at the current playoff picture. So as of last night, we had 2 more teams eliminated. So earlier in the week, we saw the Winnipeg Jets get eliminated by the Vegas Golden Knights. There was a bit of drama following that too. Rick Bowness kind of talking a little bit about how he didn't like how his team was playing, and it seems like Blake Wheeler isn't too happy about that. And, I think we're going to see some major changes in the Winnipeg Jets, in their roster in the offseason here. I really think that they're going to just do a little bit of a teardown here, move on from some guys, maybe try to build around Kyle Connor, communicate all of this with Connor Hellebuck to see kind of where he's at. I don't just want to repeat what Elliot Friedman said on 32 Thoughts the last episode, but I do think there's going to be some big changes in Winnipeg. They're kind of falling into that category of being kind of a mediocre team at this point, and I don't think they're really going to be able to push themselves over the top unless they make some pretty big moves here. Congrats to Vegas. I mean, Vegas moving on, winning that series 4-1 with Laurent Brossoit in net, and it kills me a bit to say as a Sharks fan, but I'm happy for the Golden Knights. They deserve that win, so good for them. Dallas also eliminating the Minnesota Wild as of last night. That was, it was a pretty close series until game 5 and 6. And then I think we knew that Dallas was going to Dallas was going to win this series. Minnesota was a little bit banged up there too. They weren't getting that goaltending that you would have wanted out of Gustafsson. But I think just the better team won. I think that's just kind of what it came down to. Likewise, with going over to the East, the Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Islanders. The Canes eliminating the Islanders last night. I got to watch a bit of that game. I missed the overtime because I kind of found myself watching the Boston-Florida game. That third period was just completely nuts. But you know what? The Islanders put up a fight. They definitely made it close. Sorokin definitely made it close. But again, it's just another case of the better team won. But, it makes you wonder, what are the Islanders going to do in the offseason? Because, I think they're there. They might just be one or two pieces away from, being a team that's not just going to be a wild card team next season. So, you know what? I think the Islanders are just happy. They made it to the show here. And, they just couldn't get out of the first round. So. Yeah. Anyways, let's go back to the West. Let's wrap up the West here. So tomorrow night, that being Sunday, we will have Colorado and Seattle meet in Game 7. Yeah, I thought Seattle might have gotten the job done last night, and it just didn't happen. And you know what? I still think Colorado is going to be the favorites going into Game 7. I'm definitely rooting for Seattle. I don't know. It's tough to go against the defending Stanley Cup champions here too. Because in their wins, they look great. And in Seattle's wins, they look great. And it's tough to say. I mean, the road teams have been so good in the playoffs as a whole. So, that kind of goes in favor of the Kraken. The Kraken have been a good road team all season as well. So, I don't know. This is going to be close. We might see some overtime. Game 7 overtime can't be beat. I know I will be glued to my TV for that Game 7 tomorrow night. And then the only other matchup we have right now that's still going on in the West is Edmonton and LA. Edmonton's up 3-2. Game 6 is tonight, that being Saturday. Is it tonight? It's not tomorrow, right? Am I crazy? I'm pretty sure it's tonight. Let's get the app open. Yeah, it's tonight at 7. So 7 Pacific. So yeah, that game is in LA, and I've got a feeling Edmonton's going to seal the deal tonight. I really do. I don't know. That Game 5 win that Edmonton had looked quite commanding, in my opinion, and I think they're going to ride that momentum. Now, they've had a few days off, granted. That could have been enough time for LA to kind of figure some things out and, kind of fine-tune some of their systems. But I don't know. I got a good feeling about Edmonton winning on the road here in LA tonight, but we'll see. It could easily go the other way. Boston and Florida had a crazy game last night. Game 6 in Florida, and that third period. I only watched the third period, but it was back and forth, just craziness. And, I did make the prediction this one would go to 7. I initially had Boston going to 7 in this series. And here we are going to Game 7. But the thing is, man, we're going to Game 7, and I kind of like Florida now, to be honest. I mean, Boston looks like they've kind of fallen off a bit. I really hope they go to Jeremy Swayman for Game 7. Allmark doesn't look like he's himself. I think he might be hurt. You got to go with Swayman for Game 7. Game 7 is going to be tomorrow on Sunday. Another matchup I'm going to be watching very closely. That's going to be just insane. But I'm starting to like Florida going into this Game 7. I'm not going to lie. You get one really good game out of Bobrovsky here, and I think Florida is going to be in the second round. That's what I'm leaning towards. It's crazy. The Boston Bruins, they had this historic regular season, and, they might be falling out. It's kind of crazy to see, but I don't know. I got a good feeling about Florida going into Game 7. But that being said, I mean, Boston, they've got the guys. They can get it done. They just got to figure it out, and they've got to put Jeremy Swayman in net. They really do. I will get back to the Leafs in Tampa. I want to talk about the Rangers and New Jersey. So last episode, I believe 2 games were done last time I did the podcast, and New York was up 2-0. And I remember saying, I think it's a matter of, is this going to be a sweep, or is New Jersey going to make something of it? Because I thought New Jersey was done. I thought this was just going to be the Rangers just cleaning things up. And here we are, 3 games later, and it's a 3-2 series for New Jersey. They put Akira Schmid in for game 3, and he's been lights out. The team's figured things out, and now suddenly they're the favorite going into game 6, which is tonight. And I don't know, I got a good feeling about New Jersey as well. It's crazy, just the momentum shift, having this rookie goalie in net and the team kind of rallying around him. I like it. I like it a lot. It's crazy, really. I mean, the Rangers have got to figure this out because right now it seems like Shesterkin is their only player in these last 3 games that have really shown up. So, yeah, the Rangers are going to have to make some adjustments. They're at home tonight for game 6. So, maybe that crowd in MSG will help fire them up. But, yeah, they're on the ropes right now, and it's really looking like New Jersey could finish things off tonight. And then finally, the series everyone's talking about because it's Toronto, and I don't know, we're starting to see maybe some history starting to repeat itself. So Toronto had a very big comeback win in game 4. That was awesome. It was really cool to see Toronto kind of fight back after that. And now they have pretty much 3 chances at that point, 3 chances to win the series up 3-1. Now in game 5, Tampa was the better team. Tampa got it done. They won game 5 in Toronto, and that could have been a big moment in Toronto too. They're at home, but Tampa played a really good game. Vasilevsky, really good bounce back game. He needed that. I think the team needed that. And now game 6 is tonight in Tampa. And which way is this going to go? I don't know. It's tough to say. I'm leaning towards Tampa for game 6. But then it's crazy. I remember I was texting a friend of the show, and I was telling him, like, it's crazy. Toronto's up 3-1, and I'm skeptical because Toronto has blown it so many different ways over the years now that even 3-1 doesn't feel safe. So I don't know. I think Toronto, they need to get it done tonight because I don't like their odds in a game 7. I don't think anyone likes their odds in game 7. I think I saw a stat like they're 0-10 in their last series deciding games. That also includes games where they could have finished things off. So think back to the 2020 series against Montreal. And they were up 3-1 in that series too. I think a lot of Leafs fans are looking at that series against Montreal in 2020 and being like, hey, 3-1 is not safe. And here we are now, it's 3-2. And Toronto has to get it done tonight in Tampa. They've got to. This is obviously the biggest game of their season. But, I don't want to play Tampa in game 7. I don't think anyone does. This is too experienced of a team. So Toronto, they need to get it done. So just some last minute predictions before I move on here. We'll start in the East. I'm thinking Florida. And you know what? I do think Toronto's going to get this done. I do think Toronto's going to figure this out. I think we're going to see a Florida-Toronto second round, but it could obviously go the complete other way. It's going to be close no matter what, but maybe that's just what I'm hoping for. Maybe I'm just kind of going with my heart right now. I'd love to see Toronto and Florida in the second round. 2 teams that really need some success here. But it could go the other way. We could easily just see like a Boston-Tampa second round at this point. So who knows? But I really want to see the Leafs get this monkey off their back. I really want to see the Leafs finally advance to the second round, something they have not been able to do since 2004. And then as for Devils and the Rangers, hey, if the Devils don't get it done tonight, I got no reason to think they're not going to get it done game 7 at home. So yeah, the Devils, I think they're going to get it done here. Colorado, Seattle. You know what? I'm taking back what I'm saying earlier. I believe in Seattle. I believe in them. I do. I think Seattle's going to get it done on the road tomorrow night. Again, I'm going to be glued to my TV. I'm so excited for that game 7. Seattle has been such an exciting team, and Colorado has been an exciting team for years now too. So yeah, I'm taking Seattle. I'm taking Seattle to advance. I believe in them. I do. I think Grubauer is going to have his best game of the series here. Grubauer's been fantastic. He's had such a big bounce back. And then with the Oilers in LA, I think the Oilers are going to get it done. If it's not tonight in LA, it's going to be game 7 at home. But I think the Oilers are going to get it done. So next time we do the podcast, these first round matchups will probably be over. Maybe I'll try to get out a quick podcast on maybe sometime on Tuesday and just kind of recap some of these series. But yeah, definitely exciting time in the NHL right now. And tonight, we might even see some more series decided here. So I'm going to really quickly talk about the draft lottery, just really, really quick segment of the podcast right here. So just a reminder that the draft lottery is coming up on Monday, May the 8th at 4 p.m. Pacific or 7 p.m. Eastern. And I just want to bring it up because I feel like it's not getting talked about enough. I mean, this is the biggest draft lottery we've seen since probably 2015. Maybe 2016. The draft lottery was quite hyped for the Matthews draft, but this is definitely the biggest draft we've seen since the McDavid draft, obviously, because we got Connor Bedard here. But once again, I mean, getting that second overall pick this year is certainly not a bad thing either. So finishing first or second is definitely a win, but people got their eyes on the big prize, that being Connor Bedard. So yeah, the draft lottery coming up not this Monday, but the next Monday. So 9 days from the time I'm recording this. I will be recording a live reaction of that. Whether I post the video or not depends on if the Sharks win, probably, because I'll just be completely losing my mind. But I mean, I'm in a pretty good position here as a hockey fan because I'm rooting for the Yotes as well. I'm rooting for the Blue Jackets to win as well. I wouldn't mind seeing the Habs win the draft lottery either, to be honest. Just imagine that Montreal Canadiens team. You add Connor Bedard to that, that'd be completely insane. But I think it was my last podcast where I talked about if each team got Bedard, so I don't want to repeat myself too much. But you know what? I feel like you look at the crop of teams that are in on Bedard right now, it's like, you know what? I think all of those teams could definitely really use that kind of injection of talent, especially, and it kills me to say this, but especially the Chicago Blackhawks. That is the team I think needs Bedard the most. I do not want to see them get Bedard from years and years of just misery as a Sharks fan and being eliminated by the Blackhawks in the 2010s there. I don't want to see that team be good for the rest of my life, but just completely subjectively, the Blackhawks are the team that need Bedard the most. So if the hockey gods are just, they would give Connor Bedard to the San Jose Sharks. That's where I was going with it. No, so that's Monday, 4 p.m. Pacific. I am going to be nervous, excited, intrigued. I don't know. It'd definitely be interesting if you see one of those lower odds teams get Bedard, like a Vancouver or something. That would just be insane. Because it's not like when New York when New York won the 2020 draft lottery, the really weird one where they had like the placeholder teams. Lafreniere has not been very good. I mean, that wasn't like a steal or anything, but this is Connor Bedard. This is a player that is gonna be phenomenal. He's the next guy. So seeing one of those lower odd teams get Bedard would be completely insane. And just, a team like the Capitals, I mean, that would just be nuts because the Capitals are finally having a tough time in their, tenure with Ovechkin for the first time. This is the real tough, I know they missed the playoffs, I think, once in there in the 2010s, but, this is the first real struggle we've seen from this team. And Connor Bedard would totally just fix that right away. So, yeah, lots of storylines no matter who gets them, but it's a good chance it's going to be one of those bottom 5 teams in the league. So, yeah, really looking forward to that. Don't know if I'll be doing any more draft lottery previews between now and then, but I'm going to be talking about this a ton after it happens, and speculating maybe the teams that get the second and third pick, maybe who they might go with. But whoever is getting that number 1 pick, they're going with Bedard easily. So the last thing I want to talk about today is actually something a little more lighthearted as well. I wanted to talk about superstition in hockey, though what I talk about is definitely going to apply to other sports as well, but this is a hockey podcast. I'm going to be focusing on hockey, obviously. So I was on Instagram the other day, which I've been on Instagram way too much lately, but that's because, trying to get some engagement here with the podcast page, Hockey Variety Podcast on Instagram. Check it out. And and yeah, they when I was on Instagram, I noticed something. I think it was posted by like the NHL or the NHLPA, just talking about like weird on ice snacks, like snacks guys will have on the bench. And they showed a player from the Jets. Was it Martin Letestu? I got the name wrong probably, but he's eating some mustard on the bench, and that caught my attention because I'm like, okay, you're eating a pack of mustard. That's going to give you an edge. I mean, I know maybe it's kind of like a smelling salts thing, but I mean, like, why don't you just eat some like wasabi or something, right? Because I mean, mustard, it's more intense than like eating a package of ketchup or relish, but I mean, you can do better than that, right? If you're kind of going for like a poor man's smelling salt, I don't know, but it got me thinking, like, hockey and superstition. There's a lot of superstitions that NHLers in particular have. Now, think of it this way: if you play in the NHL, you're the best of the best, right? Even if you're on the worst team in the league, even if you're a fourth liner on the Anaheim Ducks, like, you made it. You're still the best of the best. The fact that you are in the NHL. Like, I think sometimes we forget, like, if you had the worst team in the NHL, if you had Anaheim play against the best team in the AHL, Anaheim's still probably winning that game. Like, I think we forget that the worst teams in the league still have the best of the best, right? At least in terms of, like, the guys that are actually in the show, right? I mean, even the guys on teams like Anaheim and Chicago, I mean, they're still good enough to be in the NHL. So, when players have all these superstitions, they stick to it because on some level, every single player in the NHL is having success. The fact that they are in the NHL is a huge accomplishment just on its own, right? I mean, they could be in the A, they could be in the ECHL, they could be just totally done with their hockey career. So, you look at a player like Sidney Crosby, who's very superstitious and he has a lot of little habits, but he was the best player in the league for, I'm going to say, about a decade, really. I mean, he was phenomenal. So he might be thinking, like, psychologically here that these superstitions are helping him because he's been so successful. Stanley Cups, individual accolades as well. So it kind of makes sense that a lot of these players have these superstitions. But what I'm wondering is this actually making a difference? Is this actually helping your on-ice performance? Or do you just think it is? Which is also important too, because it's part of that, like, kind of positive mindset of, hey, I'm prepared for this game because I ate my pack of mustard or whatever, right? Like, it's a psychological thing. And, I think about, like, and this might be a bad example, but I think about, like, how much superstition is there behind hockey tape, like sock tape? Because I've never been a sock tape guy. Granted, I was a goalie for 20 years, but even now, playing out for the last few seasons, I don't get sock tape really, because all my gear fits really well. I do have some trouble with one of my elbow pads sometimes, but it's usually I just have to tighten it a bit more with the Velcro. But you see some guys and they tape the absolute crap out of their legs or their arms, and I wonder, like, I mean, is that just part of, like, does it make you feel right? I can't really explain it. So I don't really get sock tape a whole lot. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through a list of superstitions. I got a few lists ready to go here on my phone, just a few articles I'm going to fly through. I could have put it on the screen, but I'm lazy, so I'm not going to do that. And I'm just going to analyze, okay, is this, like, actually giving you an edge, or might we have a case of maybe some mild OCD going on? And it might sound like I'm joking there, but I mean, we even had an NHLer, I can't remember who, but we had an NHLer go into the player assistance program because of OCD. I mean, there might actually be a bit of an OCD component with some of these things, which is worrisome. That's not a good thing. So I'm just going to take a look at some superstitions here, review them a bit, let's say, and yeah, I'll just go from there. So now Patrick Waugh isn't the only goalie to do this. I know Fleury does this too, but goalies talking to their posts, that's a weird one. I'm not going to lie. I can't see that giving you an edge at all. And in case you haven't noticed, I'm the least superstitious person ever. I'm doing that Donald Trump thing again. I am actually the least superstitious. All my friends say I'm not superstitious, but I'm actually not. And the funny thing is, last time I said that, I broke a skate lace right after I said it. So I might be a little bit superstitious after that. But yeah. So, yeah. So talking to your goalie posts, I don't get that. That's kind of an odd one. Um, what else did we got here? So Ed Belfour. Oh yeah, Ed Belfour not letting anyone touch his pads, touch his equipment. That's a little worrisome because what, someone gonna rip a knife in your goalie pads or something? I don't get it. Oh, I'm looking at this article on the Hockey Writers, and oh man, Ed Belfour has the best setup there. That was the days when you had a goalie and they had 3 different brands in their goalie equipment. He's got the Vaughn Trapper and Blocker. He's got the Bauer pads. He has the Christian goalie stick. If anyone remembers Christian, that brand, good times. Wayne Gretzky putting baby powder on his stick, on his equipment. Okay, or am I reading that wrong? Yeah, baby powder. Okay, that's weird. He'd have his equipment in a specific order. Yeah, this just sounds like OCD. Now here's the thing though, with consumables, because Wayne Gretzky, he'd drink a Diet Coke, a water, a Gatorade, another Diet Coke, after warm-ups. That's a bit different though, because you're kind of preparing your body. If that's what makes your body feel right before a game, I get it. I totally get it. So Sidney Crosby having a bunch of superstitions. Yep, but I mean, hey, he's was one of the best players in the world for a while there. I get it. Okay, here's one that drives me crazy. The Prince of Wales trophy and the Clarence Campbell trophy. So pretty much the trophy you get if you win either the East Finals or the West Finals. And, some teams oh, don't touch a trophy. And some people are like, oh, who cares? Touch the trophy. And I am definitely on team who cares? Touch the trophy. Because I actually looked into this. I think it was last year. I did a little bit of research. I went back and looked at all the teams that won the Stanley Cup and which one of them, because obviously in order to get to the Stanley Cup, you have to win the conference final either in the East or the West. So what I did is I looked at all the teams that won the Stanley Cup and I saw, okay, is there a correlation between not touching the trophy and then winning the cup? So I think I looked at the last 15 or 16 seasons. And guess what? It doesn't make a difference. It's about a 50-50 chance. If you touch the trophy after winning the conference finals, it does not have an impact on whether or not you actually win the Stanley Cup. So yeah, touching the conference final trophy makes no difference. Maybe even on the podcast, I'll go even farther back. Maybe I'll look at the last 30 years and we can see if there's actually a correlation there. Because yeah, no, I think that's the dumbest superstition. But I guess it's tough because it's I guess it's of the discretion of the captain, and then they're kind of representing the whole team. So if even one guy on the team is crazy superstitious, you might make them feel uncomfortable and thus possibly have an impact on their game. I don't know. I can see why it might be a tough decision, but as someone that's not superstitious at all, if I was the captain of that team, I'd be like, hey guys, who cares? Let's celebrate this. We accomplished something, even though we got the even bigger trophy ahead of us here. Okay, so that was it for that article. Let's keep looking at some other ones here. Weird superstition. Ray Bork has many pairs of skate laces, I guess. I don't know. That could be a performance thing, I guess. Oh, okay, here we go. So Glenn Hall, a goalie from way back when, 70s, 60s, way back when. He used to make himself vomit before games, which is gross. And that's a physical thing too. So it makes you wonder, is that actually having an impact on his game in a positive way, which I have a very tough time believing. Obviously, back in the 60s and 70s, we didn't understand health as well as we do now. Hence why so many people smoked cigarettes and drank their brains out. But yeah, I can't see making yourself vomit before a game help your game in a positive way at all. Um, but I wonder if there's any research behind that. Okay, back to Stan Makita. Here we go. Having a cigarette between periods, uh, and he would toss the cigarette butt over his left shoulder. Okay, so the shoulder thing's just some weird superstition, obviously. I can't see smoking a cigarette at any time being good for your game. So yeah, that just seems like a bad one. Kind of put that under the OCD category a little bit. The New York Islanders having a bag of elephant dung in the dressing room. That was in 1975. Weird. Yeah, I don't know. The smell, maybe that helps, kind of like in a smelling salt sort of way. I don't know. Sounds messed up though. Patrick Waugh talking to his posts. Sidney Crosby not touching the trophy. Blah blah blah. What's this? Oh, players taping their sticks a certain way. I think you can file that under like performance, right? I mean, it's how you feel the puck on your state. Like I don't really want to criticize players for how they tape their sticks either. Like there's a picture of who was it? It wasn't Adam Fox. It might have been Adam Fox, but it could have been Lindgren as well. One of the defensemen on the Rangers, and he has like this crazy knob at the end of his stick, kind of like a goalie style. And I totally get it. I mean, if that's what makes your hand feel more comfortable when it's holding the stick, I totally get it. And same thing with having a certain configuration of stick tape on the blade. It's a comfort thing that I totally get, and I wouldn't even consider it superstition at all. It's a comfort thing. If you want to have like a tiny single piece of tape on your blade, if that's what works for you, cool. If you want to tape your entire stick for extra grip, hey, if that's what works for you, cool. It's a comfort thing. I do think that helps performance. Everybody's different. I would not consider that superstitious at all. Okay, what else we got here? Playoff beard. That's more of a tradition than a superstition. I wouldn't even call that. Okay, taping a stick. Burying a coin at center ice. That's what Team Canada would do in the Olympics. Yeah, that's total superstition. That's kind of silly, I guess. But I mean, again, that's also a tradition thing too. So goalies talking to their posts. No haircuts before games. That could be a comfort thing too. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, you have to feel right. I get it. Okay, here's one, and I'm actually going to criticize the Bleacher Report in their article right now because I remember reading this and I was like, no. So they think that goalies hitting their posts and their crossbar is a superstitious thing, and I'm going to tell you right now, as someone who was a goalie for 2 decades, that is not superstition. That's part of feeling comfortable in your net, and especially when the puck is coming towards your end, if there's like a rush coming towards your net, you hit your posts to know where they are. I mean, it's a comfort thing. It helps with your angles. It helps with your positioning. So touching your posts does make a difference. It does. This is not superstition. I'm going to criticize the Bleacher Report for saying it's a superstition because it's not. It is definitely part of the game when you are a goalie to know where you are in your net. Now, talking to your post won't do anything. That is 100% superstitious. But touching the post, not at all. That will help your game. It will help you find your net. And even in the few years where I coached goalies in minor hockey, that's one thing I would tell them is know where you are. Touch your posts. That way you're not like looking back behind you during the play to know where you are. So, knowing where you are in proximity to your net is so important. And touching your post can definitely give you a bit more of an edge. Okay, what else we got here? They talk about the octopus in Detroit. Again, that's more of a tradition than a superstition. Big difference there, in my opinion. Again, the conference finals. Okay, so nothing more in that one. Oh, that's it. Okay, so that was it. Overall, yeah, it's a comfort thing. I kind of understand superstitions, not so much like the talking ones. It makes me wonder if some of them are just for attention too. I mean, No offense to Devin Levi at all. I mean, I'm definitely rooting for that kid. Definitely rooting for the Buffalo Sabres. Next season, they're going to be a very exciting team. But I remember he was doing like this kind of Jedi pose in front of his net, and it was like a kind of tradition. But, I kind of thought maybe that was a little bit for attention, because he's just kind of in the middle of the ice there. But if he's genuinely meditating for a few seconds in that moment, I get it. I'm on board. Meditation is very important. It's something I don't do enough. So if he has the nerve to, or if he has the guts to do that in front of like 16,000 people, 17,000 people, then hey, kudos to him. Good for him. Actually, that's probably an overestimate on the fans in Buffalo because they did not have a good turnout this year for fans, which is unfortunate because, that team, they really deserve to go on a good run here. So overall, I think when it comes to putting things in your body, I think when it comes to things that directly tie to performance, like your stick tape, you know what? I'll throw a sock tape in there too. I think I've kind of come around to the sock tape thing. If it makes you feel more comfortable, I get it. But talking to your goalposts or things that will obviously have a negative impact on your body, like throwing up on purpose and having cigarettes in intermission, like that's not going to have a good impact on your body. And, if you think it does, you might want to, maybe seek a sports counselor or someone to help you talk through it, I don't know. I enjoyed talking about that, just kind of reviewing a few of them. Bit of a different kind of segment on the podcast here, but yeah. And that's it for today's podcast. Bit of a shorter one, but I have to start getting ready to watch some hockey here because we have some very, very big games tonight. I'm going to try to get on the podcast before the second round starts. It might be a short kind of midweek episode, but you know what? I want to get my predictions out there before the game starts. So yeah, thank you so much for watching or listening to the podcast rather. We've got episode 30 coming up next time too. We've already hit the 30 episode mark, which is crazy. If you enjoyed the podcast, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, leave a like on YouTube. Don't be afraid to share this podcast with a friend if you think you know someone that might enjoy it. Hockey Variety Podcast on Facebook, Hockey Variety Podcast on Instagram. The Instagram handle is just Hockey Variety Podcast, all one word. Very active on Instagram, so if you want the full Hockey Variety Podcast experience, you can follow me there. And I'll talk to you in a few days and enjoy all of this wonderful playoff hockey that we have in store for us here. A few Game 7s coming up, and I'm psyched. So talk to you next time.